In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you the bottom switch. The bottom switch is a move that looks like you are dealing the top card from the deck, and in actual fact, you're taking the bottom card. Now that sounds a little bit like a bottom deal, and I guess it is. It's sort of a bottom deal switch sort of move thing. I don't know what to call it, but basically it's an adapted bottom deal that uses just one card and has a ton of uses. Not just to switch cards, obviously like the name suggests, but also to force cards. And I'm going to be teaching tricks that use this sort of move in future videos, not necessarily using a deck of cards, however, which is kind of interesting. But today I'm going to be focusing on a deck of cards version, just the technique, just the sleight of hand and psychology. Let's dive into this tutorial and the first tutorial that will be using the dystopian deck. If you don't know what this deck of cards is, it is my own deck of cards that recently launched on Kickstarter, and you can back the project today to make this deck happen. If you quickly check the length of this video, you will notice that it is nowhere near enough time to properly teach a full continuous bottom deal. And it's not. So today I'm going to be teaching you a bottom deal switch move, just a single card deal that will switch the card for the one on the bottom. So if you don't know what the bottom deal is, it looks like you're taking the top card, in actual fact, you're taking the bottom card. When people say to me, Cavan, where can I properly learn a bottom deal in full, a continuous bottom dealing technique? The only place I really recommend is Daniel Madison's Bottom Deal Masterclass. If you can go and seek that out, I believe it's on the Malliance, his Patreon. If you can go and seek that out, that is the ultimate resource for learning the full continuous bottom deal. In this video, I'm just going to be teaching the single card switch. But even just that move, I know it sounds like I'm sort of saying it's a limited version of the bottom deal. It really isn't. This is a utility move that can be applied to so many different tricks. So, with that being said, here is the dystopian deck, the first tutorial with my own deck of cards. It feels so good to be using this deck. Okay, we are recording here. Okay, we have two camera angles to teach this move, and that's very, very important because I'm going to be moving the GoPro around to give you as many different close-up angles of this. And the main camera, this one right here, is going to be the sort of performance angle. This is the sort of ideal place that your audience will be. Directly in front, seeing the move, and we have a surface here. I'm not using a card surface or anything like that, you can if you want. I try and make life difficult for myself, so I tend to use things like this or tables without a card mat, because in real performance situations, I often have to deal with tricky tables, so I may as well practice with tricky tables as well. Okay, so the way I tend to use the bottom deal, let's imagine you've been dealing cards to the table like so, and your spectator says stop wherever. Maybe that is the trick you're doing, just a simple card force. Again, this can be used for much more than a card force. Okay, let's say they say stop around there, and you want to force the bottom card, which in this case is the King of Clubs, and in this case, in this deck, it is the designer Arya, who is the King of Clubs. You go to deal the top card, and this is where the switch happens. The first thing we need to focus on is the grip of the bottom deal, and this is the same grip that you use for every other deal, so it shouldn't change. Some people in my second deal tutorial said that my grip was completely different to theirs and that somehow this was wrong. Well, no, it's not wrong. This is how I hold the cards every single time I do any deal. So why would it change when I do a bottom deal or a second deal or a center deal? It will just be the same, because if you suddenly have to change your grip to do a special deal, then you're basically telling your audience, alright, something different is going to happen here because I've had to hold the cards in a different way. That is the wrong mentality, the wrong way of doing it. The cards should remain exactly the same when I do a fair deal, when I do a second deal, when I do a bottom deal, whatever. So, you are going to push the card off to one side like so, and you want there to be quite an overhang. You'll notice that when I do this, these three fingers here, or at least two of them, the middle finger here is sort of exposed, at least two of them are shielded by this card being pushed over. So you'll notice I go from this position and I push it over. There's no particular way of doing this, whatever feels most comfortable for you. So long as you provide this shield, I wouldn't recommend pushing it off exactly like this. maybe a little bit of an angle like that is good, just so you're exposing some of this card, and this comes over as, again, a block to block the sight. And then something interesting is going to happen, because right here, we're now in the get ready position. So this looks like I'm just taking this hand and grabbing this card and preparing myself to deal it and turn this deck over. It's sort of difficult to do slowly, but hopefully on the GoPro you can see that underneath the deck, this finger here, this ring finger, is going to ever so slightly move. Look at how little it moved. It went from here to here. So you're going to push and then push here. And you'll notice that what the ring finger did was it went back, it contacted that bottom card, and then it pushed forwards. And you'll see now, if I sort of take this card away and expose for the main camera, you'll notice that this card is just slightly away from the rest of the deck. It's not pushed all the way out here, it doesn't need to be, but there is just a little bit of air between this card and the rest of the deck. You'll notice it's just poking out slightly, maybe not even that much, just with all the movement. I think it came out a bit more than it normally does. So I push with the thumb, I shield these fingers, they're under the shield. Ring finger moves back and then back again. I push with the thumb, I shield these fingers completely, and then the ring finger is now in the get ready position. So that right there is it. That is literally all you're doing. The ring finger moves back, it contacts that bottom card, and it just pushes it slightly out of place. So you'll notice now in this position, when my thumb grabs this card in order to deal it to the table, underneath this is this situation here. When I grab, I'm actually contacting that bottom card. Okay, let's go from the beginning, because I know that there's a lot happening all at once here, and I've not even talked about body language and all of that. So this is just focusing on the fingers at the moment. We push, we get ready. I'm in the position now. We're in the get ready. I grab this bottom card, and a lot happens all at once here, so I'm just going to focus on the bottom card. This is gripped and pulled like so. So you just pull it, and it comes very, very easily from its position. Once you've got the hang of the idea of taking the bottom card rather than the top card, which for a beginner is a little bit difficult, sometimes you might snag the top card just because you're so used to taking the top card. Remember, that's the effect of what you're doing. The actual movement of the top card looks like this. So I didn't deal then because we're focusing on the top card. What's happening is this is moving back. So the top card is going from the shield position, which we'll call this, and it's moving back to here. And as that's happening, the whole deck is turning over and just being placed down. That is it, that is what's happening. So it goes from here to here. That's the movement of the left hand. Whoop, nearly dropped the deck. That was a good save. So we've gone from here to here. We've also gone from here to here. And when we combine those movements with the whole attitude of dealing this card, it just looks like that card is being dealt. So all of those things happen simultaneously. And yeah, it's tricky to get down at first. I mean, there's a lot going on. First of all, you've got the get ready position, you've got the dealing of the card. I honestly find it a little bit easier when there are sort of 10 cards taken out of the deck. So if you want to use that in your practice, maybe practice with half a deck, maybe practice with a third of a deck. Honestly, it doesn't matter. We also need to make note about these fingers here along the side, because one of the biggest mistakes of this is, I can't even do it, I'm trying to work out how to do it, is this, like that. Now if you notice what happened there, my fingers sort of did a little wave, a little sort of, like they came up, or rather down, away from the deck way too much. And what you really, really want is for those fingers to stay in contact with the deck the whole time. So this is what it looks like, but this is what's happening underneath. If I sort of lift away all of my hands, we have the deck. Obviously this is very unusual. We have the deck, the bottom card slightly dislodged, the top card shielding everything. So let me just rearrange because I was holding it. We are gripping like so. Looks like we're gripping the top card. We're actually gripping the bottom card. And then this top card is going to line up with the rest of the deck. The bottom card's going to be pulled out. My hand's going to turn over and everything's going to happen at once. And it looks like that. I just take the top card and here we are. When... Oh, my stool has just broken. A bit of wood just fell off my stool. As magicians, we have to look at the truth, not the lie. So what I mean by that is when you're dealing a card, you need to look at the card that's been dealt. You don't need to look at this hand. So we've dealt some cards to the table. Oh, there's the Joker. And we push the card, we're in the get ready position. I have done the deal, and instantly I've forgotten about this deck. In fact, it can go to your pocket if you want. Maybe that's a bit too far. Looks like you're sort of trying to rush to hide something, but it just goes here. The heat is now on this card, and the heat of the trick as well, the actual moment. Instead of the deal being part of the trick, the deal is just the necessity to get to this point of the trick and reveal the card. So there we have a super simple way of doing a bottom deal switch move. If you're interested in this deck of cards, I've made a video doing a full review of them. They are currently available on Kickstarter. The link is in the description and in the pinned comments. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to click the thumbs up button down below, and you can also subscribe to the channel if you are new and you want to see a load more tutorials. I'm not a tutorial channel, although I do a lot of them. I also do lots of other types of videos. So if tutorials aren't really your thing either, then don't worry, I've got lots of other content on the channel to come. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.
I think you're gonna have to be... We're gonna have to go.